Don't judge me, bro. All right, we're
So
live.
we're good then?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
good.
All right, cool. What is up? Welcome in. This is Fat Guy Sports Talk. I'm Aaron. I'm joined by.
This is Tyler over here.
And this is TJ.
What is up, everybody? Today we're going to be discussing the 2020 NFL Draft. We're going to start off close to home here with the NFC North. We're going to go down by division placement from last year. So we'll start off with the great Packers draft. Mervin, our resident Packers fan, he's going to lead us off with this one.
Yeah. As you see, I got a little Lambeau field behind me.
I don't at all.
Yeah, it's little. So Packers draft. Yeah, so they filled some spots. Not that they needed, but they filled some spots. And not with quality, but they filled some spots. Starting in the first draft. So personally, I love the Jordan Love draft for my own reasons because I believe we need to start moving forward for the future. As a Packer fan, I've had the last 28 years of solid quarterback work, and it's been nice. And I don't want to be like my fellow Bears or Raiders fans
fucked.
and have years of shitty quarterbacks. So
We had Rich Gannon in like 2002. He was an MVP winner.
So
And Aaron Brooks.
Yeah. I'll say we had Aaron Brooks.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, have fun. No, Jordan Love, I like the fact that he's got the same size and measurables that they've been staying with quarterbacks. He has the same arm strength that we're trying to look for in a quarterback, and he's willing to learn. He's willing to sit on the bench and learn, and that shows promise. A lot of times you don't see that in quarterbacks that were projected in the top 10 like Love was at the beginning. Now, if this whole pandemic wasn't going down and he could have actually had pro days, he probably would have been drafted a little bit higher. I know he has some things he needs to work on, but like Rodgers, he does the bootleg very well, and he also throws while hopping in the air.
Why is that a measurable that you want on your quarterback? Are you playing like basketball mid-game?
But you don't
Second
know.
and down, go for a layup?
Hey, Tebow did it.
Tebow had a great career.
Where's Tebow now? Yeah.
Richer than you, Aaron. So,
Oof. Bro, have you seen Tim Tebow's head lately? Like, he's got these bumps on it. Looks like you're trying to cross the Rocky Mountains, but it takes like 5 days and a donkey to get across.
Oh no! I've got a Pueblo up there, built in the mountainsides.
Here's my thing about Jordan Love, though. Like, I didn't even have him ranked in my top 5 quarterbacks, and my problem is like, I watched probably more tape on Jordan Love than any other quarterback this year because it was so inconsistent. He had, depending on I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about the play. It was like watching the difference between having like Luke McCown as your quarterback and then Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. And the problem was like he was so inconsistent. He had a huge regression as far as stats from his, second season to his third season. And the biggest reason was that is, yes, there were some personnel shifts, but he also stopped like zoning in on his receivers and they asked him to read the defense. Now, there were times where he did that flawlessly, and the guy looks like when he has his potential all wrapped into it and he reads the field, he looks like he could be the next Aaron Rodgers, which is not comforting living in Wisconsin, having to deal with another 15 years of great quarterback play. But he doesn't read receivers. He reads a specific player on the defense, and that's his biggest problem that you watch in college. Because he'll focus on like the nickel corner and he'll see the nickel corner is pushed up and the outside corner is pushed back. And he immediately narrows in on the fact that he's going to have a dig play on the far right side. And they read that and you see that get picked off over and over again in him in his college tape. He makes a lot of poor decision making, and a lot of his really big highlight throws, if you watch, are examples of what he should not be doing. One of his big ones is that he dropped back in like he had a 5-step drop, and the outside receiver went and came back, and he hit him on the run. Problem is he had a touchdown wide open on the left side because there was no safety over the top, and his guy had to step on the receiver, but he didn't read that. He panicked and went to what he liked. If they can fix his footwork and if they can fix his mechanics and they can get him calmed down, I think he could be the next Aaron Rodgers on your team. I just don't know if they can fix all those things.
Everything you just said there in the last 30 seconds of that reminded me so much of Trubisky.
It's so similar to Trubisky. The only difference is that Trubisky was so raw coming out of college. He had 1 year under the belt where Love has 3.
And the difference is Love's going to be able to sit behind Rodgers. Trubisky was just huck-a-chucking football.
Hey, he got to learn from Mike Glennon, okay? Mike Glennon was his teacher, okay? Let's not forget that.
Mike Glennon.
I'm pretty sure Mike Glennon gave me my Big Mac this afternoon.
Oh, man.
Continuing with the draft here. I mean, I like Love. Outside of that, the A.J. Dillon pick.
I like A.J. Dillon.
I like him.
You guys don't. I like him.
I like him, but I like Jones.
If he drops, but you're not going to get Jones next year. His contract's up, and if he plays like he did last year, you're not going to be able to afford him.
Oh no! And like I've been saying, and you can ask Aaron this. I've been saying the Packers need to get what they can for Rodgers because, like the Chiefs, like the Seahawks, like the Texans are now, get the quarterbacks on the low contracts. Bring in a running back. You can plug and play running backs anymore nowadays.
Yeah.
Build around them and build that defense. If you can get an offensive line, any quarterback can throw. They are in the NFL for a reason.
Have you seen Blaine Gabbert play?
He never had an offensive line. I mean,
he did in San Francisco.
But you know what I mean, though? Like, if you can plug and play in some positions, if you can build around them, and you can save a lot of money and get championships. So Seattle did.
I mean, if you give any quarterback a good offensive line, his stats are going to jump. But there are some things like you look at like the intangibles on guys that we were talking about earlier, like Taysom Hill. Like he is really good instincts with the football, and you can't teach that though. Like,
no. I mean, offensive line will make you look good. Look at the Cowboys. Look at Dak Prescott.
Oh,
Dak Prescott's going to make $36 million a year because he has an offensive line.
Yeah. Wait till that goes away because they can't afford that offensive line anymore. Didn't Travis Frederick just retire too?
Yeah, he had
they replaced him with Tyler Biadasz too.
Yeah. So I actually compare – there's been a lot of comparisons of A.J. Dillon to James Conner, and I love that comparison if this dude could lose some weight.
I can see that. But the thing is like I said earlier, this dude's like the Zion Williamson, the biggest guy in the draft for running back. And he has the highest vertical.
247 pounds with like 31, 32-inch arms.
The cheeseburger shy Eddie Lacy weight there.
Yeah, what was Eddie Lacy was like 258.
Get us
he should be on this podcast.
I got food for him.
No, one thing I do want to point out, because we didn't mention that, the Packers lost wide receiver Geronimo Allison to the Lions, tight end Jimmy Graham to the Bears, not much of a loss. Brian Bulaga to the Chargers, Jared Veldheer he didn't get signed yet, Blake Martinez to the Giants, who led the Packers in tackles with 155.
But like we were talking about earlier, he can't.
Yeah, I'll go over that in a minute. Kyler Fackrell went to the Giants as well, and then you guys lost Tramon Williams, which, depending on who you are, it's no big loss. But he has not signed on a team. You guys signed Christian Kirksey, linebacker, Devin Funchess, wide receiver, Mercedes Lewis. You re-signed him as tight end. I love Mercedes Lewis. I've loved him since he was in Jacksonville. And then you guys signed Rick Wagner, the offensive tackle.
Right. I like
that Mercedes Lewis is the only first-round draft pick that Aaron Rodgers is throwing a touchdown to.
That's true. It'll change. No, because Devin Funchess fell the second round, didn't he?
Yeah.
No, as far as receivers, I asked you earlier, would you have been okay if you had somebody like James Jones in his prime opposite of Devontae Parker? And you said, yeah, I'd like that a lot more.
Adams.
Yeah, Devontae Adams. And you said, yeah, I'd like that a lot more. I think Devin Funchess is a better version of James Jones. He's more consistent, better hand usage. And he's like the first guy Aaron Rodgers has had that can out-jump pretty much anybody on the field. And I think they're going to be really good at receiver this year. A lot
I've been reading, they've been saying that they don't have any receivers. They have Adams and then nothing else. Devin Funchess is not a bad receiver.
No, he was a converted tight end. I mean, he was a light tight end in college, and they converted him to wide receiver.
You have Allen Lazard, who did show promise towards the end of last year.
He can build in the playoffs.
If he can build in this supposed offseason we're in right now, whatever's going on, it'll be good. Outside of that, I mean, they got rid of the cap flood of Jimmy Graham that we didn't need. We
Yeah,
have
you did.
we have Sternberner from last year
Yeah,
coming.
the Bears got him.
We have Sternberner from the draft last year, who's not going to be bad. And then we drafted in the third round that Josiah from Cincinnati, DeGuerra or whatever.
Yeah, the
another
fullback.
receiving,
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up.
the fullback tight end.
Yeah, I like that they went tight end there. I think they made the wrong choice though.
I do
Bryson
too.
Hopkins from Purdue was still available. I think that would have been a much better choice there.
I think the reason they got him is that they're looking more towards running the football because they know they don't have the most explosive wide receivers, so they're going to have to pound the football. And I think they can bring this guy in to like kind of study under Mercedes Lewis, who's an outstanding blocker, and they can keep that blocking tight end on their roster. Because realistically, in this draft, it was so weak at tight end. There was no outside of Kmet, there was no real good pass catchers, and I don't even think Kmet's going to translate into a starter in the NFL.
No, and honestly, for this, the Packers are going. The Packers are going power I. It seems you have Lewis, you have Sternberner, you have Robert Tonyan, you have DeGuerra for the fullback. You got Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon now. You have Adams and Funchess for the outside, and just cram the middle. I mean, that's a solid play.
Inside the 20, you guys are going to be nasty with Funchess, too.
That's what the Patriots ran from 0-1 until last year.
No. No. Yeah, we were just talking about Josiah DeGuerra. I don't like him at all, though.
Oh, no. He's a good fullback. That's about it.
Yeah, he's a good fullback, but the fact that they're talking about tight end, I think they should just admit they drafted a fullback in the third round accidentally and just play him at fullback.
I hear Keyshawn Johnson's still out there.
No, he's not. I think he died, didn't he?
Oh, we can hope.
Ouch. Ouch. Oh, we're going to get sued, and this is the first episode.
One of the issues I have with their draft is that they addressed key positions they needed to address too late. I think they could have got some better picks.
You mean the offensive line?
The offensive line
run they did in
Kamal Martin, you guys drafted. I didn't even have him in the 7th round. Like I had him as a free agent, and you guys took him in what, the 4th
or 5th round?
Fifth round. I absolutely like. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but I love the pick of John Runyon.
Yeah.
He's going to be a beast. I think he's going to be a perennial all-proler on that team. He just needs to fix up a couple of different things. He's not very quick with his handwork when he's trying to shed people. He just, when he goes in to hit people, he goes too high. If he can fix some just mechanical issues, he's going to be a perennial all-proler, and he has the pedigree to do it.
All 3 of our linemen that we drafted in the 6th round were all 6'4". Exactly.
They're big boys.
I like Hansen too a lot as somebody that can move out to guard and give Patrick some rest.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the linemen in the 6th round, linemen can fall and they can still be talented that deep.
Yeah.
And I like that we did get it. Yes, I agree. We should have hit it earlier, a lot earlier, like maybe 5th round or.
I don't think it matters as much because the guys that you got Runyon, and then you picked up Stepaniak, and you picked up the other one I just said that I can't remember. Yeah, like those guys, I think all are going to project into starters. They're all really, really good offensive line, and this was a fairly good offensive line class. I mean, you had 4, 5, 6 guys that could legitimately gone in the first round if teams had no other needs, you know?
Right.
I think it was a really good offensive line class, and I think you guys got a huge steal. One pick I did not like that you guys made was Jonathan Garvin.
Our last pick, the DN from Miami.
Yeah, I did not like him at all. He's just, to me, he's super undersized, so he definitely needs to add some weight to his frame.
Oh yeah, he's only 263.
He's not very explosive. Like he is occasionally. But it looks like he takes plays off a lot like Jadeveon Clowney did, where, you know, he was super explosive one play, and then maybe the next play he just stood up and put his arms out to touch the tackle. Not very good at countering to the inside. What was that?
He's an Albert Hainsworth, then.
Yeah, he's Albert Hainsworth without talent, in my opinion.
I'll play when I want to play.
Yeah, he not very strong, not very quick, needs to learn a ton of moves. He got by on pure athleticism, but he doesn't have any real good one moves. He doesn't have a second one to pick up because he doesn't have a first.
Right.
And I just don't like him. But, I mean, you're talking about somebody you drafted the 28th pick in the 7th round. You're not even anticipating him making the roster probably.
Right. I in the year where receivers were so deep in this draft, it's just a shock that they didn't take one at some point.
Yeah.
Just, to challenge the spot.
That
I
makes
completely agree.
That makes me think that they have eyes in free agency for something they might want.
Maybe.
That still might
What's
be out
available in free agency? I mean, we're talking about Demaryius Thomas is the cream of the crop, and I mean,
you don't have a lot of great hands out there, but you have names out there that can work. You have your Demaryius Thomas, you have your Des Bryant, you have, if he's not in jail, Antonio Brown. You have your
I mean, he did say he wanted to play for Green Bay.
I mean, who was the other dude from Pittsburgh that was opposite of him for a while?
Juju Smith-Schuster, Martavius Bryant.
Yes, he's still out there.
Yeah, for a good reason though.
He's not terrible though. If you put him as a number 3,
but I don't think you need it. I like your receivers more than most people do. You got Devin Funchess and Devontae Parker, Adams as your first number 1 and 2 option, and I really think that Lazard showed a lot of promise to be a slot.
I can see Lazard sticking it up there for sure. I like them a lot better than Geronimo Allison. I just like Geronimo because I could yell Geronimo if he ever did anything. And that was once, and I was at that game with Aaron. How's it going, buddy?
My big problem that you guys had was you lost 2 linebackers.
Middle.
Yeah, you lost 2 linebackers and you didn't replace them. And your only real replacement was Christian Kirksey, who, when he's healthy, phenomenal. Yeah, not very good at wrapping up, though. But if you look at that San Francisco game where they ran all over you guys, the problem is that you watch in every single big play Mostert made, Blake Martinez missed something. He hit the wrong hole. He took the wrong angle. He didn't wrap up. He jumped too early. He just played with terrible instincts in that game. And I think it's because Mostert was too quick for him. And then I went back and I looked at his stats. Every time you guys played a quick back, he disappeared in that game.
Oh, yeah.
And Kirksey brings speed.
With the Packers looking like they're going to go power run team, let's just take the defense back, keep the 2 Smiths, and go to a 5-2 defense, old school Giant style. Fuck it, let's do it.
Tom Capers back in the booth.
So are you going to have, Tre'Davious Smith cover, Jerry Jeudy?
Why not?
You don't. You guys don't have the personnel. I really think you guys have the personnel for a solid 4-3. Jesus.
Did you see the draft? I
did, and I watched Minnesota tear it up in the draft. Unfortunately for you guys, because they had a fantastic draft.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I think that's who we're switching over to right now.
Yep. Now Minnesota in the free agency.
Oh, this is going to depress me.
They ended up losing Stephon Diggs in a trade with the Bills.
The
Bills. Laquan Treadwell to the Falcons. Josh Klein, Everson Griffin.
Treadwell still plays football?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Not very well.
Wait, where'd he go? Atlanta?
Atlanta.
So he's going to be a third string.
He's not even going to be third, man.
Yeah.
You got Ridley and Jones there as number 1. They lost Everson Griffin, who's been a stud on their defensive line for years. Stephen Weatherly, Mackenzie. Now, here's the worst part about Minnesota's offseason. They lost Mackenzie Alexander, Xavier Rhodes, and Trey Waynes. Their number 1, 2, and 3 corners are gone. And they lost Jaron Kearse and Andrew Sendejo, who was one of their studs at safety. And they did a decent job, I guess, in free agency, but they didn't pick up anybody huge. They grabbed Amir Abdullah, who didn't do anything with the Lions. They grabbed Dan Bailey to come in and kick, who he was solid with the Dallas, so I think he could be okay in Minnesota, maybe. They brought in a fullback, they re-signed CJ Ham, added a franchise tag on Anthony Harris, brought in Rashad Hill on offensive line, which I don't think is that impressive of a signing for him. Sean Mannion re-signed to play backup. Michael Pierce signed for defensive tackle. They brought in Tajay Sharp to play wide receiver, and then they brought in Eric Wilson at linebacker. Stop me when I get to a name that's actually notable.
Ooh. Sharp has family, probably, that's done something better than he'll ever do.
Probably. But you look at what they lost. Stephon Diggs, and I was really worried for him. I mean, they lost all three of their corners. Their starting wide receiver, and I mean, I know everyone's going to say, "Oh, Thielen," but I think that Diggs was the better,
Diggs was
scarier receiver
better.
for him.
Oh, yeah.
But first pick for him, 22nd overall, they grabbed Justin Jefferson, who I think is going to be the best receiver in this class.
That one makes me upset because they were
Packers
looking.
didn't take him.
They were looking at the Vikings were looked to maybe draft Love at that point to go behind fucking Captain Kirk, and they didn't pick up Love. They picked Jeff. That's why the Packers moved up to get Love, because they didn't want Love to fall to the Vikings again. Because there was talk about them trading up to get him also.
I honestly think if you guys didn't take Love, he would have been there when you guys were picking second round.
Yeah, definitely.
There was teams talking about trading up into the first round to get him towards the end right there, especially with the Patriots coming in there.
Yeah, that's a good point with the Patriots.
That Minnesota cared that much about a quarterback when they waited until the 7th round to take one?
Hey, Nate Staley's going to tear it up in the practice squad.
The practice squad. Justin Jefferson's a monster, though. He's 6'1", 202 pounds. Fantastic out of the slot. He lined up both inside and outside, but he had way more production inside than he did outside. So some of the problems he's going to have, especially in Minnesota, is part of the reason Jefferson was so successful is he was in a spread offense, and he was the focus point of that offense. So the rest of when they ran 5 wide, 4 receivers are pulling the pressure off of him. He had a lot more open looks, and he has I think somebody that's going to be a top 10 receiver next year is still on that team. So he had some help there, but he's incredibly good at route running, and he has a really quick hands. So he's going to be able to catch a lot of those slants, great leaping ability, and he's super reliable. He's a guy you can depend on. I think he's going to be really, really good. He's going to be what the Rams wish Tavon Austin would be.
Or what they wished Treadwell would have been.
Yeah. I do like Minnesota's picks to replace Trey Waynes and Xavier Rhodes and Jeff Gladney and Cameron Dantzler. They got a steal with Cameron Dantzler falling to them at 89. He's projected in the top 60. I think they're going to have no worries filling those spots at cornerback.
Yeah, I really, really like Jeff Gladney as a player. Really, really good instincts. He fights on every play. He reminds me a lot of Xavier Rhodes. He could have realistically come away with a lot more interceptions than he did, but he was just more focused on playing the ball than trying to go for the glory, which is something I appreciate in cornerbacks. And Dantzler, I think, is going to be even better. And they got him at 3rd round. One pick that you didn't mention is 2nd round, 26 overall, Ezra Cleveland.
I was just looking at him.
Desperate for offensive line help, and Ezra Cleveland is going to be a stud.
I loved him. Boise State had a great offensive line over there, and I think Ezra Cleveland's going to give him good depth and fight for that starting position.
My biggest problem for him is that he does have some strength issues, so he's going to have to bulk up, do a lot of weight training, things like that, and he needs to improve his punch with his hands when he gets off the line. Yeah. If he can get that down, he's going to be nasty.
After that, they filled a lot of spots. They got a couple of
they had enough to fill a whole goddamn team.
Yeah,
they did.
And 15 picks.
And then
they got a couple different corners, a couple different linebackers that aren't too bad there. Is it James Lynch I was looking at?
Looking like Anderson Sendejo's replacement out of Michigan, Josh Metellus. Did they wait too long to take a safety?
I'm not a big fan of Josh Metellus.
I'm not a fan of safeties that drop that far.
Just because he went to Michigan?
No, I mean, yes, a little bit, but I'm an Ohio State fan. I just think he's not very quick, but I guess he's playing safety.
Safeties are supposed to be able to read the entire defense and offense, and when they drop that far, that shows that their awareness isn't there.
I don't like that he regressed. He was way better in coverage in 2018. 2019, he wasn't very good. He's not very quick. Like, when he sees it develop, he's slow to get up and going, doesn't have very good acceleration. Not going to be good if you throw a tight end at him, which is, a lot of safeties are on the smaller side, though. And he doesn't have very good instincts at all. He has to see it develop for him before he can, realize what's happening. He doesn't have that knack for seeing something start and be able to adjust and make that move. And he's not very good in the box, so he's going to have to play center field there. And from his coverage regression last year, I don't know if he's going to be successful.
I can agree there. I mean, like I said, they filled some spots in the early rounds, but after that, it looks like they just went best available for every spot they can grab.
The one safety I love that they took was Brian Cole. Brian Cole, yeah, he's got some issues in his hips. Does have some issues when plays develop downfield, but I think if he can sit there and they want him to play more of a center fielder role, he has a great person he can learn from, and then they can switch him over to the other side. I think he could be a huge sleeper. I don't think he'll show a lot of success this year outside of special teams, though.
Right. Okay.
And then what was the next one? Oh, yeah, the Bears.
Yeah, my boys.
You guys lost.
You guys have what, like 4 picks?
We had 7, I think. Yeah.
They just didn't have a first-round pick.
Or a third, or a fourth, or a fifth.
You guys lost a lot this year. You guys lost Chase Daniel, Taylor Gabriel, Trey Burton, Kyle Long retired, Nick Williams, Nick Kwiatkowski, Leonard Floyd, Kevin Pierre-Lewis, Prince Amakamura, and HaHa Clinton-Dix.
The only one out of them that I am sad that left is Nick Kwiatkowski.
Not even Kyle Long?
Potential. He's too injury prone. Tell me the last time he played a full season.
Loved
Kyle Long as a player, but he's too much of a liability on that line. Leonard Floyd only plays good against Aaron Rodgers. If we could play them 16 times a year, he'd be great.
I would love if you played 16 times a year.
Fuck off.
Oh, boy.
Prince Mukamara, his age is getting up there. HaHa. I wanted him, 6-7 years ago when he came out of the draft. I remember that.
You cried almost. It was great.
Yeah. But like I said, I think Kwiatkowski is what we needed to retain, and I'm sad we didn't.
I'm surprised you went with Danny Trevathan over Nick Kwiatkowski there. I was kind of surprised.
I think the leadership value was there for Danny Trevathan, the veteran. He's more proven, but Kwiatkowski had a great year last year, stepping up for some injured players.
Yeah, he's he reminds me of a prototypical Patriots player.
Yeah,
kind of he does everything.
Your Raiders got him, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to point that out.
No, but looking at their draft, the first 2 picks, loved them. I was so happy they took Cole Kmet, even though that made us have 10 tight ends on the roster.
That's because you're a Notre Dame fan.
I am biased.
Why? Why do you like Cole Kmet though? Because
I am a little biased.
I don't.
I don't know. I've watched Notre Dame play. I like the way he plays. He's a hometown kid. He's gonna be excited to play there. He's gonna have Jimmy Graham to teach him.
Yeah. Do you want Jimmy Graham to teach him?
I don't know. Maybe.
Can I have Jimmy Graham teach him from 10 years ago?
I just don't understand the appeal of Jimmy Graham in the NFL. His only good years was when in New Orleans.
Yeah.
He's been injury prone or just
once he tore his patella, he's been done. He lost that explosiveness.
And the thing, Cole Kmet, the only thing he's going to translate into as far as the NFL goes is going to be a pass catcher. He is
and that's what we need.
Terrible as a blocker, though.
That's what we needed at tight end, though. We only have 9 more tight ends that can block. If we need a pass catcher, it was for
But I don't. When you look at it, the routes he's running, he's a poor route runner too.
Mm-hmm.
He does have good catches though. He has very good quick hands. Problem is, as far as his hand goes, he's not very good in contested catches. And when he gives away his routes the way he does, I have a huge issue with him being successful. Now that's stuff that's teachable though. I just don't know how well the Bears are at developing tight ends because I can't remember the last good Bear tight end.
I can't remember the last time Bears could develop.
I'm hoping he can be good because we're talking Martellus Bennett, Greg Olsen days.
Yeah. Greg Olsen wasn't even good in Chicago. They would not utilize him the way he needed to. He went to Carolina and tore it up.
That's why they let him go because Mike Martz wanted blocking tight ends and he could not block.
He could not.
Their second pick, though, Jalen Johnson.
I love him.
I like him a lot.
love this. Came off Utah's amazing defense last year. What were they, the seventh in the nation last year, something like that?
Utah's defense? No, they were solid.
They
I'll
were
say
one win away from the CFP last year. It's
you guys got a steal with him. He was
yes, yeah. The injury concern is what made him fall. Otherwise, he was a first-round talent.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love him. Very vertical. He can challenge the bigger receivers like Adams.
Yeah. It's somebody
Super
we're
good
not going to
ball
have
skills.
to worry about if we send 8 men on a blitz, 7 men on a blitz. We're not going to have to worry about him being on an island out there.
Especially as he develops.
The only problem with him though is any kind of big NFL, like an NFL wide receiver, they're gonna put a single move on him and they're gone. He's not gonna be able to keep up with them.
I don't necessarily agree. I think he's very, very good on the pop. He's very, very good with the press. The problem is that he gets a little bit too jittery.
That's what I'm saying.
He's such a good ball hawk, but he reminds me a lot of Antonio Cromartie right now, where he's going to get a lot of picks for you, but he's also going to overjump a lot of routes and cause a lot of touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
He's somebody, though, that listening to interviews with his defensive coordinator at Utah, you can put anywhere on the field, which is really going to help Kyle Fuller, too, because that means Kyle Fuller can play anywhere on the field. So no matter,
that's dangerous.
And keep in mind, this guy's 6 foot, 193 pounds. He can line up in the slot if they need him to. And they grabbed him in the 3rd round. He's not like he's a 2nd round pick, even though he was the 2nd person they took. He's a 3rd rounder. They're expecting to have to develop this guy. Was he?
Yeah, 2nd round.
I thought he was 18th and
3rd.
Oh, I'm an idiot. But still, he's still a 2nd round pick. He's not a 1st. He's expected to need to develop a little bit, and he's going to get the chance because he's not looking to have to jump into the starting lineup right away.
I mean,
the thing that surprised me about their draft is that Brian Pace waited a long time to start trading up. I expected him to try and trade into the 1st round at some point, maybe trade back a little into the 2nd.
I think he's afraid to trade up into the 1st because he gave up a lot for Khalil Mack, and I think you guys would have his head if you find you guys did more of your future to try to get back into the 1st.
We're already sharpening the knife.
How many more years does Khalil Mack have on his contract?
Good question. I don't know offhand.
So you guys literally have this year and next year to make it worth your while of actually trading for him.
No, I think they signed him to a 6-year deal when they got him.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot.
$148 million over 6 years. That was 2 years ago, so he's got 4 years left.
They're not even close yet to fulfilling what he should be doing there.
I think next year you guys get your 1st rounds back, right?
Yes.
You can draft a quarterback again.
Maybe. That was one thing. I was shocked we did not take a quarterback in the later rounds this year.
You guys
got Big Dick Nick.
I don't think Nick Foles is going to start on Chicago. I think they're going to try to force Trubisky into the role again.
Oh, yeah,
I think they will. They say it's an open competition. I don't know how much of that I believe.
I think you got to give it to Foles. I mean, he
won
a Super Bowl 2 years ago?
He won a Super Bowl. When he plays, he is a solid player. He's not going to lose you the game. I like Nick Foles. I always have.
And he's back. He's back with coaches that he knows from his earlier days where he had success. He's back with Matt Nagy. He's back with John DeFilippo. He knows these guys. I think he will flourish in the system if he's given a chance.
Yeah.
I agree.
I can see Foles doing damage. I like Foles.
I think it would be a mistake if the Chicago Bears open up their season with Mitchell Trubisky under quarterback.
I think so too.
I'd be a mistake if the Chicago Bears open their season, but
hey, we were 8-8 last year somehow, some way.
Yeah, the Packers were 13-3 somehow.
Yeah, somehow, some way. One of the more intriguing picks that they made was Darnell Mooney, wide receiver out of Tulane. I think this is to fill the spot that Taylor Gabriel left.
He's fast too,
but fast as fuck.
Yeah, he's going to be a burner for you guys. My problem with you guys is when was the last time you went? I think you guys are afraid of Kevin White because you guys do not go up and get receivers, and you never have receivers. I mean, you do still have Allen Robinson on the team?
Yes, Allen Robinson will be our number 1. Number 2 is it's probably going to be Anthony Miller, but I think it can be any one of those receivers. I want to see Javon Wims take a big step forward. He's a big physical guy. He just needs to work on his catching abilities a little more, but I like him. I think this is Riley Ridley's time to shine too. We took him late in the draft, was last year.
Last year.
But I think with the absence of Taylor Gabriel now, he'll be competing for a spot on the roster this year too.
And honestly, I mean, I like the Bears can have solid receivers if they have a quarterback there. I mean, they have the tools to be a very mediocre, decent team that could probably get a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all aren't there yet to take the division, either from the Packers or the Vikings.
Well, we did 2 years ago. So.
Right. I don't see it happening again.
I don't either, just simply because if the Packers fall off, you have to deal with Minnesota, and right now Minnesota's too good.
Minnesota lost a lot, but they filled their spots. The one thing the Bears didn't do is they didn't really fill a lot of spots with their draft.
No, they did make some moves in the offseason. Trying to think who they signed.
Bears?
Why are names escaping me right now?
Chicago signed. You guys signed Artie Burns, a quarterback from Pittsburgh, who's been really solid.
Mm-hmm.
Deion Bush should provide some depth. You guys signed Nick Foles in a trade, or you got him in a trade.
Mm-hmm.
You picked up Ted Ginn Jr.,
yes,
who I've been making fun of for the past week just as a thing. Jimmy Graham, Jermaine Ifedi, Sherrick McCandless,
yes.
Robert Quinn, and Danny Trevathan you re-signed.
Yeah, I'm excited about Quinn.
I used to be, and then he just fell off pretty hard. I don't know.
He fell off, yes, but I think pairing him with Khalil Mack, it's going to
free up some pressure.
Free up pressure for both of them. Not to mention, as an unsigned free agent, the Bears did sign Khalil Mack's younger brother.
Yep, I saw that. He went undrafted for a reason.
Yes, I imagine there was a reason, but no better spot than to play under his brother. If he's going to go anywhere.
I don't think he's going to make the team. Personally, I just think they gave him a shot at the roster just to
maybe.
As cool as it is to have family playing with family in the NBA, in the NFL, it doesn't really play out that great. I mean, look at the Seahawks with the Griffin brothers. I mean, they got like 3 games.
Derek and TJ's Watt signed in Pittsburgh? Or Derek Watt, he signed in Pittsburgh, to play with TJ.
I mean, yeah, but it's getting the family in the NFL, it's not that – I mean, like the McCourty brothers, that worked out cool.
The Smiths on the Packers?
No relation.
I thought they were related.
No, they're just had the same last name.
The most common name in the United States.
Everyone called them the Smiths, and I was like, oh, they're brothers. I didn't pay attention at all.
Okay, well, they called the Williams brothers on Minnesota that, and they're not related either.
Basically, if you look somewhat like each other, and you have the same last name.
Yeah, we need to get off this topic of conversation real quick.
So about the Lions.
Yeah, about the Lions. So the Detroit Lions lost nothing good. That's not true. They lost Jeff Driscoll, backup quarterback, J.D. McKissick, running back, Jermaine Kearse, wide receiver, Rick Wagner to the Packers, wasn't very good to begin with, Graham Glasgow, Damon Harrison, Ashawn Robinson, who I think was decent, Devin Kinnard, Darius Slay is the big one that they lost to the Eagles, Rashawn Melvin, corner, Taven Wilson,
huge
safety, and then Sam Martin as punter.
Can I just say, out of the division, I think these guys had the best draft.
I agree. Their draft was really, really good. And they did let's see where they did okay in free agency.
The only spot they did hit was quarterback.
No, they picked up Chase Daniel and quarterback.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In the draft, that's the only spot they didn't hit that they needed. Chase Daniel's a great backup to have.
That's exactly. I think they do need to develop somebody for Matthew Stafford. Though.
Yes, because Matthew Stafford, this is going to be his last year with them, I think.
I love the Jeff Okudah pick.
I do too.
I think he's going to be better than Darius Slay.
Yeah, Jeff Okudah. Great pick.
I think he's going to be fantastic. You're going to be talking about him the same way you guys talk about Patrick Peterson and,
Darius Slay?
No, not Darius Slay. Darrell Reeves.
Darrell Reeves?
Almost there, bud. Yeah.
Man, my brain is not working right now.
You want Devontae Parker on the team again?
Yeah, I do want Devontae Parker. I think, actually, the Packers should have gone after Devontae Parker.
I would love to have Devontae Parker.
Once he hits free agency, if he could go play with Devontae Adams and you guys could have the Smiths and the Devontaes. But yeah, you went and you had Jeff Okudah in the first round, who I think is one of the best cornerback prospects I've seen in a couple years, probably since Patrick Peterson.
You got DeAndre Swift pulling the exact thing Nick Chubb did, going like number 3 in the second round.
Yep.
Exact same path.
I think they messed up again, though. They went and they picked up Swift. I don't think he's going to add that much to this team. I don't.
No.
I think he's got a really nice, strong lower body, but he doesn't move piles. He's quick in his cuts, but he's not overly fast. He doesn't have a nice home run burst. Not very good protecting the football. There's just so much bad tape on him, in my opinion. I don't think he was worth the pick.
It's the pedigree of being a Georgia running back that I think moved him up the board.
But we're all seeing what Georgia running backs really do in the NFL.
3 years and then they're done, if that.
Who was the last good Georgia back that went in the NFL? No, Sean Marino.
Gurley.
Oh, yeah, Todd Gurley.
Oh, it was Gurley.
And Nick Chubb.
Though I don't know. Nick Gurley, I think, is going to have a breakout year in Atlanta.
Too, right?
I mean, Todd Gurley was playing with Jared Goff as a quarterback. Well, let's be real. Jared Goff is not Matt Ryan. And Cooper Kupp is not Julio Jones. And you also have Calvin Ridley on the opposite side of that. Matt Ryan's a beast at quarterback.
They've had no
offensive line.
Is they lost Hooper to the Browns.
Yeah,
which I don't understand.
We're also going to look at, Calvin Ridley's going to have a bigger use of that too. But
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of DeAndre Swift as their draft. I love the Julian Okwara pick at the edge rusher on Notre Dame.
Nasty player. He's coming off an injury, but Jalen Smith is coming off an injury out of Notre Dame as well, and he's proven himself too. I think that was a great pick for them there. Gonna hate to see have to line up against him 2 games out of the year.
Yeah, and then I loved their 3rd and 4th round picks where they picked up Jonah Jackson out of Ohio State to play guard and Logan Stenberg in the 4th round out of Kentucky to play guard. I think both have a really nice, nasty streak. And they will, if they don't, I would be surprised if one of them is not starting by the end of the year.
No, I like
there's some depth.
Like that.
Yep. I don't like Quintez Cephas in the NFL. He's slow.
You mean a Wisconsin wide receiver?
Yeah.
I know, right? Slow.
If you're taking anybody from Wisconsin,
4.7340. Let's.
Wait. Better be a lineman or a running back? Yeah.
Or a linebacker.
Or linebacker.
Wait, what?
So if you're taking anybody offensively from Wisconsin in the draft, it better be a running
offensive lineman.
Offensive lineman. Anybody else, no.
Or one quarterback in the past, 20 years who came from another college first?
Yeah. Well, their last good receiver that they had drafted, I think I'm going to go out on the limb and say Chris Chambers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Chambers is probably the best. Yeah. The best I can think of out of them. And then let's see, Jason Huntley, John Panisi, Pinacini.
I'm gonna love that name. I'm getting.
I just cannot wait for that to get messed up by Troy Aikman. I really want him to be a stud. Just for that
who's
reason.
The other guy I mentioned?
Blackbach?
What?
Oh my God, yeah, Blackbach.
Blackbach or whatever. You know that name's gonna get messed up.
And then you got Deshaun Cornell at pick 21. I don't think either one of them are going to be that outstanding. I think their biggest sleeper, I think, is going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be Logan Stenberg. I love him. Mm-hmm. And I think Swift is going to be a nice complementary piece for when whoever their starting running back ends up being goes down.
Yeah, which it will.
Typically what happens.
Oh, yeah.
And I really
they
love
need
the
to carry running backs like the Bears carry tight ends, and they'll be fine.
They really do, because Detroit cannot buy a break with that.
Who gets defensive rookie of the year, Jeff Okudah or Chase Young?
Chase Young. No question about it. Jeff Okudah is playing in a division where he's going to be going up against Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, and whatever in Chicago.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins and whatever's in Chicago is going to throw a lot.
He's going to get burned so much throughout the year, and there's not a lot of help on that team around him. His pass rush isn't great. It's super inconsistent. Where Chase Young is going to have the opportunities in Washington to make a play. He's going to be on the field every single down. They're expecting him to be a stud.
I also think, don't get me wrong, I like Jeff Okudah, but I think A.J. Terrell is going to have the better rookie year. at the cornerback position.
No love for Arnett.
From what I've seen of
Ouch.
Terrell play, I like AJ Terrell.
Yeah, I think the only way Arnett has a shot at rookie or defensive rookie of the year is if they suddenly start giving a shit about pass deflections. Because he doesn't pick the ball off, but he's a dog and he can go after and break up passes and he can he'll take a side of the field away, but I don't like that he's not going to get us turnovers. He's very Xavier Rhodesy.
Oh yeah.
Which sucks when your defense cannot get picks.
I'm going to counter your point as to why Okuda's going to struggle is probably the same reason Arnett might struggle because he's going to be going up against no pass rush. He's also going to be going up against Patrick Mahomes twice a year.
Bro, you're forgetting about Max Crosby, and forgot about Patrick Mahomes. But outside of Patrick Mahomes, who else is he going up against? That's a danger right now. Tyrod Taylor and Drew Lock.
Tyrod Taylor doesn't throw picks.
Exactly, he doesn't throw touchdowns either.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very careful with the ball. He did bring Buffalo to the playoffs.
But hold on. We'll talk about this next time.
Yeah, when we do AFC West.
Yeah, we will do the AFC West next.
So, with this being our first of the Fat Guy Sports, which I like the name, as we are all fat guys, and this is Sports Ball. I don't know how to sign off on these, so.
I don't either. So, let's just say bye.
We're hungry. We're going to go get food.
Fair.
I've been eating this whole time. I don't know about you guys.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good one.
Later, guys.